So the servers are back up now. It's playable or whatever. A lot of this was just like weird bug fixes. One of these was Executioner perk being applied to the Bardiche, which made sense because every barb that wanted to one-shot the world would just run Bardiche. Of course, there's always something, right? So hopefully this means that we'll see a little bit less Bardiche use, but I don't think so. I think that the core damage of the thing is just too damn good that you get that one big swing overhead and you catch him in the face and it's done. Harpy's whirlwind sound would not be played properly. That's fine. Just meant like you would only hear the beginning of it, but not the end. Cyclops blinding action could extend beyond the boss room. Just like little hokey stuff, nothing crazy. The door leading out of Forgotten Castle Stables module wouldn't open. There was another Druid exclusive extract where you could transform into a rat and exit the map in the Ruins Forest path. That's gone. Fission issue where certain locations in the castle armory could prevent taking damage from the crows. So this is another interesting one. Hopefully they're buttoning up like some of the other areas, because there are spots that like I'm sure that you're not supposed to be able to get to, but people can. And then you go and sit on a wall like under a tree or something. The crows just never show up, and dudes just like chill up and behind like tree branches and shit on walls and like just wait for the whole map to switch. They finally fixed the clock issue. The blizzard for Ice Cavern would come too soon and it would kill you with 5 seconds left on the timer instead of killing you when the timer hit 0. That's been going on for what, almost an entire season. It was through most all of last season and then all of this season up until now. Fix an issue where an unintended message could appear when leaving an item in an express bin if there wasn't enough space. Dungeon Express wouldn't function properly if a crash occurred. Improve the visibility of the scroll bar on the merchant list, so that's good. The merchant, so like, actually that's kind of like, it's a minor but like a good QOL change. The scroll bar on the right side was like very, very thin. So it was like you had like 4 pixels worth of width in order to be able to grab the thing. So hopefully it's like a little bit wider. Re-added monsters and loot boxes to the arena. So the way it looks is, for the core rounds, it's one spawn and you kill it, open it, break the crate, whatever, and it stays that way unless it goes into overtime. If it goes into tiebreaker, then that stuff respawns again. Change the loaded ranged weapon to be unloaded when placed in an inventory. So this is a huge, massive change. So people carrying multiple windlasses and crossbows weren't really a thing anymore because of the re-equip time taking longer to equip it than it took to reload the thing. But hand crossbows on rogues for the mosquito build that you saw like Repose running during the tournament last weekend, that has got nerfed into the dirt. So anytime that somebody takes a crossbow off of their character's like hands and it goes into their inventory, it gets unloaded, which is huge. That's massive. So now maximum you'll only be able to see a rogue carrying 2. They'll have 1 in slot 1, 1 in slot 2, and then switch between the 2 hand crossbows, but then they're going to have to reload them, no matter what they do. And the same with crossbow and windlass swapping. No matter what, it won't make sense anymore to carry more than just the crossbow that you have equipped, because if you take it off and put it back on again, whatever it is, you have to reload it, which I think is huge. That's a massive nerf. But I think it's a necessary one, because it was a little ridiculous to be able to just keep re-equipping hand crosses and fire like 8 poison arrows at people, you know? Like, it was just a little bit too much poke. It didn't make sense. The 125 plus gear score normal dungeon is no longer available. This may be adjusted in real time. So this is weird, because if you're free to play people don't get to run their BIS anymore. Because if you're 125 and higher, that means that you have to go run High Roller. But free-to-play people don't have access to High Roller. So this actually ends up being a passive limitation to free-to-play players, where they have to run shittier gear now if they want to stay able to play the game on free-to-play. I don't know if I necessarily agree with this, if only because it's going to limit the free-to-play people and they could end up seeing another review bomb over it. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm the type of person where it's like, all right, if you're experiencing the game to where you're trying to run like really good shit on normals and you're trying to learn, I don't think that they should be limited just because they're free to play. But there is at some point, you know, you've gotten 300-400 hours out of your free to play account and you probably haven't bought a cosmetic or something. Like, maybe it's time to just pony up the $30, ask mom and dad to, you know, hook you up for Christmas or something. I don't know, get a Steam gift card or go to the website and like have them throw in their credit card to buy like the $30 worth of red shards to buy your shit. So like there is a separate gear bracket though, right? So there's 125 to 224. So it's not like you're going to be in there with hyper chads, but there is like a step up. But saying that they're going to remove or like you don't have the ability to run the normal dungeon on higher than 125 GS, I don't know if that's necessarily a good idea. It would make more sense to me if they made it like 300, right? Like make it so that you can't run like hyper crazy shit. Okay, fine. But like a 300 GS limit would mean that most people would be able to run like full purples, you know? a couple of legendaries in there or something. I don't know if this necessarily makes sense because, again, like, this is just begging for review bombing. I don't know if this was that well thought out. Free games should have a limitation. It's only $30. No, I get that. I'm saying, like, if somebody's got enough time in the game where the $30 was justifiable, like, fine, pay it, right? I think they should. But with the way that loot drops now, right? Like, you can hit 125 GS by finding a legendary rapier, like laying on the floor, much less a two-hander. If I find a legendary spellbook on a normal run because the gear drops are as good as they are, only to find out that I can't run it because that plus the 3 other like green or blue items that I found puts me over the threshold, right? So now I have to go run high roller, but I can't because I'm free to play. You see what I'm saying? It's like it's counterproductive to what they're trying to accomplish. If they want longevity, if they want people to come and play their game and stay playing their game, I think that the 125 limit is too low. That's all. Like, they're trying to cut down on the number of queues, right? And I get that. I do. I'm with them on the idea, but I think the implementation is poor. I think that they should have opened this up. Otherwise, you're just going to have free-to-play people being like, what the fuck? Why can't I just use this? You know? Because they won't understand. Arena matchmaking rating added. So now we have an experimental MMR system. Rating values and ranges will likely change in the future, and your rating may be reset. Users can choose whether to invalidate a match if not all allies enter the arena. An arena scoreboard feature is added. You can check the match status even during the match by holding the default caps lock key during a match. So now you have you can hold down caps lock and look at the scoreboard. Chat report features are added. You can now report improper chat content. So fucking finally. It took them a while, but now there's actually an in-game report feature for people saying, like, you know, dumb, edgy, out-of-pocket shit in the group chat and stuff. Added request to join party feature. Now you request to join a party that's already been formed. So they ended up talking more about the account migration and stuff down here too. So for people that are newer, if you bought the game on Blacksmith for about, what, a 6-week period, maybe 2 months, something like that, like 4 months ago, they had a short period of time where you could, like using a code in game, you could migrate your account from one platform to another. So like everybody bought it on Blacksmith when we played in the early days, and then migrating over to Steam on what, June 7th, right? June 7th, 2024, when the game went live back on Steam, it went free to play. And there was account migration back over to the Steam platform for like, what, 2 months? I think it went until like August. So, and then when they announced the Twitch drop stuff, they took that out. So they removed that functionality. Actually, it wasn't available on June 7th. It was like 2 weeks later, but I think it was still around for like a couple of months. They patched it in. But then they took it out when the Twitch drops thing happened. And now what they've said is to better support upcoming DLC products, which is still kind of BS, while still supporting customer rights to refunds, which is probably the primary thing. And it's probably more on the EU side than the US side, but that's whatever. We will no longer be able to support cross-platform logins in the near future. So this also means that they're going to have to give, if they're going to continue to support the PTR, they're going to have to give all the people that had Blacksmith, or everybody on Steam is going to have access to PTR. Because right now we won't have access to the test realm. Once this change goes in, if you don't stay on Blacksmith, there won't be any test server access because no one will be able to touch it. For users that link their accounts across multiple platforms, you'll be asked to select one platform as your main platform upon login in an upcoming update. Once a main platform is selected, all account data will be bound only to that specific platform, and switching across platforms will no longer be possible. So it's probably something to do with a refund law, but whatever. What they've now said too, though, is that there are people that missed the window. Like, hell, 3 days ago, we had somebody in chat asking how they could migrate their account because they couldn't find it. I've had to tell people that a few different times now. What they have said, though, loyal Blacksmith supporters who purchase the game will have a one-time chance to switch their account to a mainstream platform if they choose to do so. Players who purchase the Dark and Darker Standard Founders Hold the Line the edition on Blacksmith before 9 p.m. UTC on June 7th, which is when the thing went free to play, they'll have a one-time chance to move it to Epic or Steam. We appreciate your understanding. We aim to fulfill our commitment. Blah, 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 blah. So then they talk about the MMR system. We'll be testing MMR system to improve the arena matchmaking quality. Augmented soon with arena ranking system. Made some minor changes to the arena system with some improved QOL. There's going to be an MMR matchmaking system. So now it's SBMM on arena for the time being. But they're obviously not showing like everybody's ELO/MMR. And it looks like there's going to be like leaderboards and ranks and stuff. So we'll see what that looks like. I don't think anybody's going to give a shit about grinding out ranks unless there's going to be something like for it, you know? Like there's going to need to be some type of like prestige system or something for people to be able to like gain something from it in order for it to matter. Is there any point to switching off? Not really. I mean, it's the same game regardless, right? It doesn't really matter if you switch platforms. What matters is to people, they prefer to have like a singular platform that they play the majority of their games off of, right? So some people just about everybody uses Steam for that. Like, there are people, myself included sometimes, where even if you have a game that's not a Steam game, you will add that game to the list of games on your Steam library just so that you're going to the same, like, one place to launch everything that you're launching. It's just what people prefer to do. There are some people that use Epic Game Store too, you know, whatever. But other than that, there's really no point. It's just one less launcher that you have to pull up. That's all. I figured that this patch was going to be nothing but bug fixes anyway. It makes sense because they're probably like in the lab just working on content. Because, like, honestly, if you look at timeline stuff, and this is just me guessing, right? Like, I don't know this for sure, but if it were me and I was going to adjust when I was going to patch and like end the season and everything, I'm ending the season in like 3 to 4 weeks and doing a wipe. You know, this time 5 weeks from now, the week before Christmas would be when I would look at doing like the new season, right? And then leaderboard starts like between Christmas and New Year's or something. So if it's me and I go, I really need content, right? If I'm SDF, I'm like, all right, people don't give a fuck about balance anymore. Like, it seems like the tide has shifted and most people want content. So I need to come in with a new class and I need a new boss and I need a new level. I need a new dungeon for people to play. I need to bring in a new system. I need some shit that's fucking compelling so that people are like, yeah, now there's like new cool things to like explore and do and test and play with and, you know, adjust and all this other shit, right? Like, that's got to be their focus right now. If it's not, I think that they're making a mistake. For like some Christmas-ish like wipe new season, they're going to end up patching out the candy corn vendor, and they're going to bring back St. Nicholas for like all the candy cane and gingerbread stuff, and they're going to bring in a new class. Hopefully they bring in Sorcerer, because that's what SDF said he wanted to do for the next season, and hopefully we have like some semblance of like water map or like a first level of the Frost Cavern, you know, something like that would be ideal. And like, they can make boss fights pretty quick. I mean, they generated Spectral Knight pretty fast, you know, like they did the Ruins rework and they had Spectral Knight in and they had the Banshee like 80% done, and it only took them another 2 weeks to bring Banshee out. So I want Christmas lights in the dungeon. That would be sweet. I'm down for that. I would like to see rune it. I would like to see like gem sockets, runes, rune words, you know, like bring that stuff in. That would create a lot of build diversity options. I think that would be really cool. I think that they're torn between having people level up through a talent tree and like picking a path versus having all of the build options available to them like when they start. And I don't know what the better answer is. I think that they would have to have like way more possibility, like class identifiers, you know, kind of like how like you could play a shaman in WoW, right? But you could have one that's centralized around firing lightning bolts and chain lightning, or you can have one that's all about melee damage, or you can have one that's all about like support and healing, right? And you have to like tailor your class like down that deep tree. I don't know if there's enough content like class build wise. There's not. I mean, in the game right now, there's not enough of that like class build wise where you could like carry those talents down through a tree and have like different build focuses across like all of the classes in the game. I don't think there's enough there yet. I would love to see him get there. I think that would be cool. Is this a patch you were hoping for? It's not the one that I was hoping for, but it's the one I expected. I figured it was just going to be bug fixes. I think that they're loading everything into the basket for like, you know, like I said, timing wise, I feel like the wipe is going to be like a month from now ish. I think it's going to be a month to 5 weeks. And then right before Christmas, we'll, you know, a week ish before Christmas, we'll end up seeing like a wipe. And then, you know, seasonal start like between Christmas and New Year's, something like that. That would be what I would do for timing. This doesn't make sense. But they also did say, I will give them this, they said this may be adjusted in real time. I have a feeling it will be. For me, like, if you want to try and like incentivize people to get into HR, I don't think cutting off people at 125 GS when they find like one purple two-hander and it's going to put them over the threshold by wearing like hardly anything else is like going to be the answer. I think they need to reevaluate this and make this like 300, you know? That's just me. But they're going to do what they want to do, I guess. I don't know. I understand that they're trying to remove like another bracket from the queues, but doing it on the normal side I don't think makes sense. The problem that they're running into is that they're trying to combat like giving people some semblance of like balance and the ability to fight back and not get instantly killed versus the idea of like having people to play against because they got a population struggle for the number of queues that they have. That's the issue. The matchmaking pools just aren't large enough. I went to 224 and I got people above the score. I have a feeling on the high roller side there is like a timeout where it's going to do like we're going to try to put you with people that are like 224 and under. But if it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of people around, then we're just going to throw you in the HR game, GG, which is kind of what they were doing with Arena 2. An RMT nerf? Maybe. I don't know, man. Like, the gear is so abundant dropping now. It's just like you'd be able to do like one. I can do one naked run starting off with a gray loot. And by the time that I get down through Inferno, I have 250 to 300 GS and I'm trying to solo the boss. Like every single run. Like that isn't even a single run worth of gear. This is like by the time I'm through Ruins, I'm out of 125. So that, like that's the problem that they're running into, is that you have like high gear drop rate with really good shit that's showing up, or at least high gear score value that's showing up in people's inventories. But then they can't use it if they're free to play. They have to go to HR, which they can't do. They have to buy the game to do it. So it's the same issue as when the game went free to play at first. People are getting like stuff that they can't wear and they have to toss it. And they can't sell it on the market, so they have to vendor it if they're free. Now, of course, there's the argument that they have to buy it, right? Like buy the game. If you're playing that well, buy the game, blah, blah, blah. But even still, it's like that's not going to stop them from getting review bombed. Arenas has SBMM now and GBMM. I think they got rid of GBMM for Arenas in favor of the SBMM, would be my guess. I feel like that would be way too many brackets. Could you imagine like MMR rating for matchmaking along with gear? So what, you're going to have like high MMR under 25 lobbies? Like, I don't think that works. I think it's just going to be skill based. Mad Legendaries and normal Crips, yeah, their income's probably going down. I don't know. I'm not even gonna try to like guess on that. I think it just comes down to population. Yeah, like I've made the argument in the past that like if people are going in and playing this game and they've got hundreds of hours into it, I'm a big believer in like the $1 per hour standard. Like if I spend $30, I should get 30 hours of enjoyment out of it. If you spend $30 and you've been playing this game for 200 plus hours, like you should spend the $30, in my opinion. Now there are people that are going to disagree, whatever, but there's also people that would say, well, I can spend $30 on cosmetics and that should be the same thing, and I agree. So you know what I mean? I don't know. I just think that they're going to get like, that is asking for review bombing if they're going to do the 125. It has to go to HR thing when you have so many free to play players. Do you think they're trying to get away from using the blacksmith launcher? I don't think they're trying to get away from using blacksmith. I think that they are making people choose because they probably have some law that they're in violation of, like in the EU or something, that is forcing them to have to like be able to honor returns, and they won't be able to do it cross-platform. $30 is McDonald's for two. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Don't get me wrong, dude. Like there are plenty of people that play free-to-play games because like, you know, they have some shitty computer that they were barely able to afford and they just don't have the free money, you know? Like I don't think that you should alienate people from being able to enjoy something. It's just that when you start restricting stuff like this and you have a cosmetic shop, it ends up becoming something that people will scrutinize you for. They can still use gear though, can't they? It was just 125 plus. Yeah, so what that means is if I find, like for example, a blue two-handed weapon, a blue spellbook is what, like 80 gear score or something? Isn't it like 80 GS? So if I find a legendary spellbook, I won't even be able to wear like a blue pair of pants. You know what I mean? Because the legendary spellbook by itself that would drop out of a fucking barrel on a normal run would put me over the gear score threshold, right? So that means that I have to go to high roller if I want to use the legendary spellbook that I found because I killed a demon dog in Inferno that just happened to have it in his inventory, right? Which I also can't sell on the marketplace because I am free to play. If I'm free to play, I can't sell it on the marketplace. I can't run it in the lobby. I can't run it in the normal gear dungeon because now I'm over 125 GS. So I can vendor it. That's my only choice. I don't get to use it. It feels kind of shitty, right? If you're the free to play person, you're going to be like, why? I don't understand. Like, you're just forcing me to buy the game because now I have gear that I can't use. You see what I mean? Because you're forcing them to go to HR and they can't use HR because they're free to play. So, and I'm not saying whether one thought is right or wrong, right? There are people that are going to say, well, just buy the game then. And then there are people that are going to be like, yeah, that's fucked up. My point is that whenever something goes wrong, things that people don't like, they end up going to Steam reviews, and then you see the game get review bombed for shit like this. And I don't think it's a good idea from a marketing tactic. That's all. Steam is slower compared to the Blacksmith's launcher. Why would they waste money and resources to implement a launcher and then suddenly decide to make everyone vote to Steam? Go to Steam? Well, they're not making everyone go to Steam. They're giving people the choice to go to Steam. And the reason why the game is available on Steam is because it's the largest video game marketplace in the world by a vast margin. So if you're trying to reach the most number of gamers with the most familiar platform, because that's the thing that's going to generate you the most sales, that's why you go there. If it were Epic, they would go to Epic. If Blacksmith was able to do it because everybody loved Blacksmith, they would just do Blacksmith. So now normals is under 125 and HR is 125 plus. Correct. Try to empty your stash without the ability to trade. No shared stash, only one character. Right. If you're playing that much free to play, you should have to buy the full game. At a certain point, there's got to be a reason to buy the game. Well, like I said, my argument is if you're getting if you've gotten more than 30 hours of enjoyment out of the game and you feel like you want to keep playing it, right? Then you got your money's worth, and buying the game to me then is justifiable. If you're somebody that goes in and you play play like 5 normal rounds and you're getting your ass cheese clapped and it frustrates you and you quit, then there's no sense in having spent the $30, right? But if you're getting hundreds of hours out of it, spending the $30 should make monetarily like justifiable sense. That once you get past a certain point, I feel like that's just people like acting, feeling entitled. But there's also the argument that the game has a cosmetic shop, right? I could be on the free-to-play account side and have spent $50 in cosmetic items because I like the drip, but I'm still like in a normal account, right? So why is that $50 invalidated? See what I mean? Because when you're retailing the game and you have a cosmetic shop, like having the free-to-play trial thing is kind of weird. When you're limiting GS, when you're limiting people's ability to bring gear into a dungeon, you know what I'm saying? Now, obviously, like I'm being devil's advocate. I'm not actually saying like that scenario should happen or make sense, but you know what I'm saying? And they also don't have regional pricing either, so, which is also true. So like in certain countries, like $30 US is a lot of money. Remove free-to-play. They went, I honestly think their addition of free-to-play was a mistake. Even if I'm being honest, I think they never should have done it. I think they should have moved it to Steam. They should have left it $30, and I think they would have seen a better overall experience for people playing it. I genuinely do. I don't think they would have population numbers that are as high, but I think the population numbers would have reflected like reality a bit more. Free-to-play was the reason I played it. If there was no free-to-play, I wouldn't be here. I mean, obviously there's that, right? Like I realize that there are people that try it, you know, but they also played it like Mealy, like you played the game, I would assume, under the assumption that there would be some amount of limitation to what it was that you'd be able to do, and then you pony up and get the game later, right? Like you treated it like the intended model, which is what Destiny does. Like that's how Destiny operates. Like you can play like the first like chapter of the game or whatever, but once you get to a certain point, like you got to buy the rest of the content, you know? Like that's what they were trying to do. So I don't know, man. Arguing in favor of the company now. Consider that if as long as I have a gear set that is under 125 gear score, I can do all of the quests. I can earn all of the cosmetics available to me. I can kill every boss. I can experience the entire full game loop all the way through. Now I can, because there aren't any like quests that require that I kill elite mobs of any kind. I can play through the entire game. The only thing that I can't do is make more than one character. I can't have shared stash tabs because I don't have more than one character, and I can't sell anything on the market, and I can't go to HR. Right? Other than that, I can experience the entire game on my one main character and kill everything, experience the full game loop, do all the quests, and get all of the cosmetic stuff that I have the capability of earning, right? Like I can do all of that. I can craft all the gear too, because I can buy stuff off the market if I wanted to. So like I can experience the full game loop. I just don't get the power spike that other people get. So like it's more than just a trial, but it's more than just a demo, but it's not everything. I don't know what the fuck you call that. Did you just make a battle pass that they want to gatekeep HR rewards? It's RuneScape. Yeah, RuneScape is a perfect example. It's RuneScape. It's the OSRS model. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. The win rare free trial, demo plus, limited access, something. Yeah. Here's essentially the main game loop. No, I agree. There's a huge difference between playing a wizard at 124 GS and 500, right? Like you want to experience a wizard in all its glory, deck them the fuck out, and like all the plus damage and like will and magic power bonus and damage bonus gear that you can possibly get your hands on at as high of a movement speed as you can possibly get, and then go fireball and chain lightning other teams into oblivion. Like that shit is fun as hell, right? And you don't really ever feel that until you get to the point where you can really deck them out. Like there's a huge difference, but again, like I look at that as an incentive to just like pay the $30 so that you can feel like what the rest of the game is like when you get up into the upper echelons of it. My only argument against this idea is only because in the minds of gamers, they are going to look at this and they're going to say that's bullshit, and they're going to end up review bombing the game on Steam. There's going to be Reddit threads about this shit, and they're going to end up causing SDF to have an ulcer. Like, that's it. Because he gives a shit about this kind of stuff. And I just feel like I understand what they're trying to do, because they're trying to cut down on queues, like the number of like gear queues that there are. But the free-to-play guys are going to lose their mind. People aren't going to like it. That's it. Anyway, enough yap.